Right, so before we start with the maps, a few things to note to create some context. Yes, there's Quake routes for the movement in the base game. Yes, there's currently indoor and small scale focus, but there's no hard set roadmap, and there are only concepts we wish to address based on what we think is cool, which is the natural way of finding new things. Something not a lot of people are doing lately. So, to summarize in some heavy-handed sentences what we think Rekt has achieved or hopes to achieve, is that we've relegated the skill threshold of movement to game mechanics, creating equal complexity to replace mechanical skill. This includes the abilities, but mostly the tribe-like energy management, creating a balance between movement and survivability. Yet it still looks like floaty Quake, so fuck you. Control and positioning have also completely changed, and I hope some of you end up breaking your keyboards because of it. That's one thing that is on the roadmap, surely hinted by the name of the whole thing. All of this will be explained in depth, and now we continue on to folding. Alright, so here we are on folding. 1 part arrow walk, 2 parts Formulac, and a remainder of quiet desperation. This is the perfect description of a map that started out as a showcase and is nowhere near representative of what Rekt can do. It showcases the small things. It looks pretty in a sense that it is programmer art because we have no active artists on the project right now, and you will see as we slowly descend down alpha, deeper and deeper into the alpha, should I say, that things are going to get uglier and uglier. So this is pretty, and this proves that we do have Unreal 4 working here. Look, it shines, and we are not doing this in, I don't know, something out of the 90s. So it showcases a couple of things really well, which is we have jump pads, hurrah, and when using the grav belt, we actually, we can get a little higher. So that's a concept there. We also, of course, have teleporters. Ta-ta! It teleports, that's why it has a bit of arrow walk in it. And of course, we also have all the wall running going on that we can test here. And what else? Of course, yeah, we can show here the wall running, the cornering, and everything quite nicely. So that is what it is. It is not a bad map. I don't want to crush Formulac's dreams too much. It's actually not a bad map. It's just that it was built around the game and not for the game. So this is about all I'm going to say about it. If Vorm wants to make a video about this thing and go more in depth, then that's fine. This is folding. Right, so here's core. This is the map I made while figuring out Rekt as a project and figuring out the game. So I'm just gonna whiz past here real quick. There was a focus. Well, the one thing I wanted to do was really beef up the verticality, and this map is still could be considered cramped a little bit. I will say though that this map is currently being reworked completely. So I am upping the ceilings and stuff. I'm going to try everything that breaks flow, because this was the main priority, was verticality and flow. That we could have tribes like flow in the indoor maps. There's also, of course, the figuring out the base movement, figuring out the gravity belt, and then what happens to control and positioning when everyone's flying around. Control and positioning is actually something that's, I'm not sure. We haven't tested enough to be sure what's going to happen with item control. I think it's going to be more of a chase. We'll see. I mean, I don't think you can lock down an area of the map at all. And that's kind of the idea. This also serves as a tutorial area. I specifically made a map so that you can't get anywhere except for the base level if you don't use the movement. So there's no elevators, there's no jump pads, there's one teleporter which can't be reached without using the anti-grav belt. So you are forced from the get-go to use the movement. So let's get to that. This has actually been tested with people who can't play FPS games and stuff, and it does work. So if we, for instance, if we just try to walk without jumping, we can get some in some of the areas here. We can get, so we're doing that now, voila, but then we have to fall. If we go in there, we'll be stuck. So you can run around without doing anything, but eventually you're going to get stuck in what we call the noob pit. Okay, this is where you're going to end up, and there's nothing you can do. So the only thing you can do is try to jump, and if you spam jump, you're gonna make it. If you jump once, you're not gonna get anywhere, but then 2 jumps and you'll get there, or like that, but that's a little bit more advanced. This little thing as well is what we discovered. You'll see some texture errors as well, that doesn't matter. You'll see that these slanted things, which was the only thing I had, we had blocks and slanted things, that was it. So if you jump up, voila, you get a bit of more boost than you would against the normal wall, because this thing acts like a wall, and when you jump off a wall, your direction gets added. So that was another concept of this map. Yeah, so what you have to do early on is start using the movement. If you are here in this area, this is a dead end for anyone not using the movement. You can crawl up here, barely, maybe here. Yeah, you can, hurrah, and then you can as well. But that's very annoying, let's say, to say the least. So if you use the gravity belt, you'll be up there in no time. But of course, that's heavy use, okay? There's a lot of angles in this map. It looks a bit like a clusterfuck, that's why it's being reworked. Using the gravity belt allows you to correct some of your mistakes. So now we're down here again. It's a correction tool more than, because I can move fairly far with just using the movement. Here, for instance, if I just use a quick tap, I use too much right there because I'm bad at my own game. But quick tap of the anti-grav belt and you will be able to get up here. It's, well, it's maybe not the best thing, but that's not the point of this game, of this map anyway. Is to try and find what's possible, you see. So can't do that without, from here, it is actually possible, but it is quite difficult. Because now I'm bumping against that. So you can't force the map, you need to find the flow of it, as is, well, with so many maps. If you go up here, and voila, I'm using the grav belt to ride the wall there for a bit, you can, because you can't do it otherwise. So it is an integral part. So movement, the more advanced your movement, if you get really adept at a map, you will be able to traverse it using less and less energy. And that's sort of the map knowledge adding to your ability to defend yourself while using the shield, for instance. So that's what we basically replaced the strafe jumping with. Because you can strafe jump, you can use it as a bit of a boost to start your run. But after you've started hugging the walls, it doesn't really matter anymore. It looked like that was clipping. I wasn't clipping, I just jumped off a little too early, see? Any decoration is not going to be clipping, because that would be completely insane, because you're constantly hugging the walls and doing all kinds of things. What I'm doing right now, I'm just running around the map showing things. This is not representative of what speed you can achieve in this map. I'm just showing you the general idea of it, because it would be rather pointless of me to go parkouring around. I am going to try and compile a video about that later, and we'll probably go more in depth with the map and the concepts in here, especially the verticality and everything. I just wanted to showcase this map again, because for instance this ceiling's probably going to be gone completely, so this is going to be a very big open area. There's a lot of things changing, but this was, like I said, my first attempt when I joined the Rekt project to make sense of the movement and see what could be done. And that's what it is. Once, because the funny thing is, when we playtest this map, we still revert to regular Quake or Unreal dodging and stuff. We aren't playing the game yet, and so a lot of playtests are going to hopefully make us wiser, because that was very slow. For instance, you can take that route very quickly. But anyway, that's a first look at core, the core mechanics and movement, and now we move to Eerie, which is where I try to go a little further. Right, so here we're at Eerie. Concepts evolve, and now of course in this map they are brought to an extreme. So again, the viability of this map, time will tell. Also, of course, we see we are descending further into alpha state, as this map has no art at all, just to develop a texture. So, quick rundown, a little quicker than core, because we're starting to get it right now. So this is the first level, then the second level, and then the third level. That's the basics of it. And of course, they all bleed into each other, because that's the idea. The idea of positioning is completely gone in this map. It's all about chasing your opponent around. So we haven't really tested that much, but what we have tested has been amazingly chaotic and actually, I think, quite fun. So I'm just going to zoom around real quick. So we have jump pad going through here. We have an outside area. Again, ugly as hell, but oh well, we're in the 90s. This here, we've got our pickup there. That can be got all kinds of ways that I will go to, and then you can see, you can basically see through from the top end where the railgun is. Again, it's a projectile. The railgun is a projectile, so you can go all the way down to where we started there, between the areas there. So this thing is completely open, okay, which is not cramped anymore. So we'll run through real quick. This also uses, let's see what spawn I'm getting though. Okay, so this uses this. We're at the second level now, and now it's 2.5, and now 3. So and now we're at the top. We can go a little higher over there where the railgun is. The pit here. So we have our jump pads, and it uses the same system that folding does. Normally we use it. Normally we get here, which is nowhere, and then a little bit of gravity belt, and then we're here, and then we can chain all the way there. Also, again, I'm using the gravity belt a little bit, voila, and then we can go on. Oh, I missed it. Right, so again here, let's go back to where we were. We can also do this without the jump pads, which is a bit more energy intense. So boom, if I use too much, I'll actually, well, I didn't this time because I was too late. If you use it too quickly, boom. See, the gravity's gone, so all your momentum carries forward. Boom, you'll hit this and you'll end up there. So those little bounces. Anyway, there's another thing. There we go. You can also go all the way up to that if you're a little bit more adept. Again, this is where I end up when I don't use the gravity belt. And I use it a little bit and I get a little further. This is not a death fall. Well, it's a little bit, because you respawn always. Well, you don't respawn, you teleport exactly at this point. So if you see someone falling, you'll know exactly where they're gonna be. But it's a little less cheap than just falling to your death. It's also an outside area to just cut through the middle of the map. The layering is also important, of course, because we have all kinds of. It's quite easy to do this. So base level. Go up here, then here, and then we can go all the way to the top with some heavy use, but not too heavy, so it needs to be balanced out a little bit. Also, of course, again, the jumps that get you here, because without the gravity belt you're not going to make it, but you can, of course, do it that way. Voila. And this is where I think a lot of the floaty comments come from, that once you have a boosted jump, yeah, you fly up, but you have the choice of remaining rather low. Okay, it's just that we are, relative to the map, we are actually going quite fast, quite high, and that's the idea of it. Okay, this is just me straight jumping a little bit. You do stay, I mean, there we go. See, that was the gravity belt used, and then you do fly a little bit. Again, no jetpack. This is just the removal of gravity. Okay, so this is how, if you start moving around a little bit more, it becomes very fast indeed. I missed the platform. So there's a lot. The snagging, I really hate snagging. So if I snag somewhere a little bit too much, it's definitely going to be removed. So again, to just show, because I don't know how many weapons I have. Oh, where is he? I didn't pick it up. Okay, there. So again here, see, there's travel time on that thing. There definitely is. And then you can see it bouncing, right? There's also, actually can't see it from here. There we go. See, that was the bounce. Still graphic wise. So it is quite a slow thing, and we'll probably have to increase it even. So again, if I use the rocket launcher here, boom, 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 boom. Travel time is a real thing. So okay, that is eerie. I can't go into depth on how this map plays. I don't have enough data either. This is just a concept from me jumping around everywhere. And just, yeah, the chase and the locations and everything. You need to be adept. This is another thing I will mention though, is that this is an advanced map. I did not hold back in terms for tutorials or whatever, or people playing for the first time. I really just wanted to explore the maximum that this game has to offer. You see, the last jump, I just used all of my energy there. So if I were to encounter someone, I would have no energy to speak of, so no shield. So I could run around here using the bare minimum, or the actual maximum of my gravity belt use here. But I'd be vulnerable. So I'm moving parkour style around the map, actually not using the... No, fuck, no, okay, everything's fine. I'm not even using the wall jumping that much, I'm just using the regular movement. I should incorporate a bit more, because that will actually increase my efficiency. But there you go, that's theory in a nutshell. Now, we move... let's do Gauntlet first, my attempt at a CTF map. And then you'll see just how far everything can get stretched. Right, this is Gauntlet. Lots to apologize for, lots to explain, so let's get to it. So this is a mirrored CTF map, and this is where I stretched complexity to its absolute limits. Probably this map is going to end up 2 separate maps, because I went too far. I simply went too far. 2 months of off and on work, trying to do this. I ended up with a monster, but actually a very important lesson. But I'm going to run through it anyway, because it is in the base build that you can download on the site, so I'm just going to run through it real quickly. Okay, this is the flag. This is a flag. Okay, try to stay with me here. 3 areas. Wall, blink, and around the corner, slow. Okay. We'll go through the middle. We end up in this area here, where all 3 of these roads also coalesce. This is where the flag carrier tries to hide and get away and keep parkouring around. Okay, there's some jump pads here. Okay, so this is the back area, let's say. That back area, in numerous ways, it also hides a mega health. There's a below to this whole thing as well. So, but there's only 2 areas. So there's 2 roads that end up from below that end up here. Okay, so you jump up and then you're in this central amazing place. Then we end up here. We either go up there or use some other route. There's another route as well. And then we come to the central area. Central area, which will probably become its own map. So this is where the mirror starts kicking in, by the look of the red stuff here. Okay, this is a tribe's playground. That's the only way to put it. This is probably going to be my my longest yard. This is going to be my most open playground map, where people are just shooting each other and having some fun. That's probably going to cut into a map. Okay, but we'll not cross over to the red area just yet. We come from there. Okay, then we can descend here. So there's a 50 bubble and everything like that. There's some fun to be had here. And then it circles back to here. And we're going back to the flag base now. In here. Voila, there's a central area here again, which is overly complex. But we'll fix that, don't worry. And there's several levels again, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, but 3 is this is actually a semi-level, doesn't go anywhere. But that up there and here goes to the back flag area. So this goes to there, goes to there, voila, back area. I've lost everyone, then that's fine. And then we go back into the central area. So there's a billion ways for the flag carrier to escape, but also a billion areas for him to get caught. I basically completely murdered, because that's all very small scale. That's all very cramped and very indoor, opening up to the outdoors, which is this monster area. So I'm just gonna do a quick run. Well, we'll probably spawn in the red area, I think, where everything is of course mirrored. So we are slow and stuff. It's all fantastic. So let's try and get the flag, shall we? I'm going to use the most pedestrian way, I think. Well, we can do all kinds of cool things, of course, like that, voila, and then take the jump. I stopped the jump because normally that's not the idea, really. But that's something I need to change. So don't worry about that's clunky, because the jump pad actually goes to here and then back again, which is silly, but I thought it was funny at the time. So this is the middle area. You can just go through here, use the little quaky things, and then be a little calmer with the movement. Voila, and voila. We're actually already there. So there's a lot of complexity, but it's actually... Oh, I'm not going to make it. Just ran out of energy there. So we take the flag. There's a lot of things you can bypass. So I just want to streamline it a little bit. Let's go to the other area, shall we? We'll go from the back. Oh yeah. Where are we? Oh, yeah. We can go back. This is of course going back to the flag, or go through here. The developer texture does not help at all at this point. So people who haven't played this map or haven't built it have quite a difficulty knowing where the fuck they're going. But I just wanted to show this, that the extremities I've gone through. Because the distance is actually quite low. If you... There we go, so I've scored. There's no announcement, but it did happen. This is Gauntlet. That's all about, I'm going to say, this is probably going to be condensed, but this is how far I go. And I went too far, so I apologize. Gauntlet. I'm going to quickly show Commons, which is a map that hasn't been itemized and hasn't been finalized. This is also in the editor, so any loss of quality or whatever, that might be a reason why. This is a map where I've been experimenting with scale and even more openness and verticality, so it's a lot more bare bones than the other maps. So it's the extreme opposite of Eerie. It still maintains the verticality because that's a core design principle, and also the height and everything and the levels. Also has a little bit of a Gauntlet thing going on here, the middle playground area. Also uses some teleporters, which are invisible right now. So to get there, to get a sort of force, well, revolving door principle going in the center here. A lot of parkouring. I'm just being really careful. There we go. A lot of fall damage there as well, of course. Same thing here. That's the kind of a larger area than we have in core, which is basically you can parkour your way across, no problem, but you can also have the easy way out here and use a teleporter and then have an up-down fight, which can be a little interesting, a little bit of an arrow walk fight going on here. So there, just a quick mention that, again, this is a completely different map that I haven't really discovered the standard yet. And on that note, I'll move to the final map that I'll showcase, which is Nettenrack, which started off as a Call of Duty map. Oh dear. This is the least finished of my concepts, air quotes, and there's no pressure on me right now to actually try and provide with some suitable gameplay. This started off as a remake of Karantan, and then Tribes happened, so that's basically my excuse. There is no pressure on me then to try and see with some quake movements in there the things that can happen. So I'm gonna try and navigate. I'm not gonna talk too much because there's not much to say. This is an upscaled map as well. There's some verticality in there so far, but mostly this is now a concept of horizontalness. And if you can get your strafe jumps to work, you can get real fast. But it's, for me right now, it's a full-time occupation. I don't think I can do anything but trying to navigate, because that's the thing, I'm auto jumping, but you don't really know when you're gonna hit the wall, so, or would hit the ground, so you kind of have to navigate. There's also quite the probably, you can see I just wall ran on the hill. That's the thing. So the right negotiation of the hill is very important. You can see that this is the base move, and basically then we hit one of those curves, one of those ramps, should I say, and if you miss it, well, then your run is done. So this is kind of, because this is what I'm doing just by auto running, and then you go rather fast and rather predictably around the edges, which is no problem because, well, there's no really, well, you can negotiate the rest of the map by doing it, but your speed of course also increases your predictability. But that's the thing, this is just a point. I really don't want to talk about the game balance of it. I just want to talk about the fun I'm having with it, and that's one of the reasons this map is largely unfinished, because I've just been doing this for hours on end and trying to get the speed up, trying to negotiate as much as possible with the terrain and all the curves and shit. So this is something I still need to rework as well, but this is most likely a map that is going to happen in a map type. So we have had, don't know if you noticed, but we've had quite a lot of different styles of map, and this is the StarCraft approach. Okay, try to make as many basic concepts as you can. I'm moving out of bounds a little. Just, yeah, I'm actually curious that I haven't really created yet, but I will here. Yeah, there you go. See, that was the damage. I basically lost half of my health. So the tribes area of it is not intended yet. Absolutely not. We're going to try and stay small focus on it, but the engine with some tweaks is capable of it. That's the sneak peek I wanted to show, and I'll end up here in the hill. Just going to die here for a second. There we go. That's that. That is Netnerak. Also, of course, because this was the goal of the map, is to have the roof play come into play. So imagine if you could run around the rooftops of Carentan, and then that terrain kind of happened. So that's how far the concepts are, and that's the final message I want to give you if you've gone this far and you're actually interested in the video, because that's why it's a little longer as well, to see what the gauge of interest is. If you want to help out with Rekt, there's always positions open. We don't have a business plan so far. We're just going to make this game. So if you want to contribute, that is certainly a possibility. And you can do it in all the types of map that I've showcased here. Or maybe make your own. So there you have it. That's a short overview of the maps. And there'll definitely be more along the way, especially like with the core rework and stuff. All those kind of things I'll be talking about, and I'll make regular videos doing so. So okay, so that's it. I've been Gref for Rekt Legit Games, Rekt Dawn of Beginnings, of course, because there's a lot to talk about the lore, of course, as well, because this is going to be a very in-depth and serious lore to rival that of the large sci-fi epics of our day. So there you go. I'm going to stop the video now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to, well, long-winded and wordy conversations on Reddit and forums and whatnot. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.